Good morning everyone, it's me Clem from clemtravlog. Today I am very excited because I'm going for a ride with one of my mates. He is also a Ironman Triathlon competitor, Ivan. First time riding with a pro. Gonna be excited and interesting. So we're gonna do a casual ride around, and then I'm going to do a short interview with him after the ride to ask him some questions regarding cycling. Let's go! Good morning! Are you?
Good, you?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Finally, it's happening.
Yeah. But it's a bit windy.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Yeah. Alright, we finished our ride, so I'm going to do a bit of interview with my friend Ivan regarding some question about cycling. So my first question is, can you tell more about your cycling career?
I think it all started off from getting into training for Ironman, and then because Ironman consists of one of the factors cycling. So starting kind of from short distance and then going up to 80, 90 Ks. Then up to 120, and the goal is 180k at the end of it. So yeah, it started off from there.
Oh, thank you. That's interesting.
Yeah.
What makes you try to become an Ironman?
I was inspired by a nun actually, and she was, so her story is quite interesting. So she was quite in a big figure, and one day she come to heard from the gossip saying that how can a nun get pregnant, and it's kind of like tipped her over the point.
Yep.
And then she decided to get fit, and then from running and other stuff, then at the age of I think late 40s or early 50s she started doing Ironman.
Oh, okay.
So she shifted her life in a very big way, and then from there she started the whole thing, and then comes to a point where Ironman at the time is only able to register up to the age of 65.
Oh, okay.
So she actually brought Ironman to court, saying that it was age discrimination. And then she go further, and then at the age of 80s, on her 80th birthday, she's doing her 40th Ironman.
Ooh.
So I was inspired by her actually, and she was actually in a Nike commercial. So even though until now, I think she's still keeping her morning rituals, riding. And she's still working her church in her, giving back to people like that. So I think, wow, if she can do it, everyone can do it. So that inspired me, and on that day, I just decided let's do that. It's quite an inspirational sport. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, so in your opinion, what does participate in Ironman actually helps you in mentally, and what's the impact for your daily life?
I think shifted in a very big way. Personally, it's not only physical and mental, right? So to train for Ironman, it's a big commitment in terms of time, finance, you manage your family, relationships. So it's kind of putting everything into perspective, and you do things in a very more meaningful, and you spend more quality time rather than quantity time. And then you have to factor in, you have to prepare for your training, and then you need to have better quality food, better quality sleep, time management, and of course on top of that you still got to work. And at the time I haven't got kids yet.
Yep.
But then there's a term called the Ironman widow, right? So my wife is pretty much like an Ironman widow.
Yep.
So on the weekends, Saturday half a day you don't see me, but by the time I come back, you're zombie out, you're so tired, and then on the Sunday morning you still got to continue your run. So after all those journeys, kind of like you appreciate things a lot more, see things in a little more, but in a different perspective. But of course, when you hang around with people who trains for Ironman, they're operating life in a very, very high level, in every aspect. They all have like, normal ordinary guy. They are not professional athletes, but just normal ordinary people operating life in a very high level in terms of performing in work, performing in their sports, in their passions, family, relationship, finance, of course, time management. All this comes into factor to make one thing happen. So at the end of the day, once you pass through, after like achieving Ironman, it's kind of like, just put things into perspective to appreciate things a bit more. Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, that's my opinion.
So you have been riding a lot as an Ironman. So what's your opinion and what's your view regarding urban cycling, like casual riding? What's the difference?
This is my perspective, of course. I'm not a lot of urban cycling. So each time when we cycle, in terms of training wise, there's always a goal. There's a program that you stick to it. So your head is like, after this we do this, after this, intensity increase, or there's certain X amount of distance you want to go. But then after off training, it's kind of like, hang on, there's another aspect, there's another world of riding. It's kind of relaxing, you enjoy the ride, you enjoy the view. But when, of course, like during training wise, it brings you to a lot of new places that I wouldn't think of I explore to those areas as well. Like I'm quite fortunate to be able to do Ironman in New Zealand as well. The view, it is just stunning. You pass through like farmlands, and then you go through like small towns, and then people is cheering you during the race, and it just makes you feel like you're in another world during the race day. So I think that's where you get a high in those race competitions. It just makes you feel like you have strangers cheering for you, put it that way. And then you have kids ringing the bells and putting signs for you, and it just makes it's a very special event to me personally. But compared to if you're not training but just for leisure in the urban area, I think it's a very different perspective. You get a lot of enjoyment in a very different way as well.
Right. You've been telling me just now that you didn't really do a lot of trails riding in Melbourne. So this probably might be one of the first one you did.
Yes.
So what is your opinion regarding the Melbourne trails?
It's a lot more interesting. It's very scenic. You go back to the nature. A lot of trees, a lot of greenlands, wetlands as well. I don't know. This one is, I got to thank you for this, because I never see Melbourne in that way. I never see riding from that perspective. But this is pretty enjoyable, and it's fun. Yeah.
Good to know. So apart from riding in Melbourne, obviously you have been riding in New Zealand. And is there any other places you've been riding? And can you tell us like what's the difference between riding in Melbourne and riding in other places?
Oh, this is a good question. I only ride a lot in Melbourne, right? So New Zealand is only during the race time. But Melbourne wise, I think it consists a lot of different tracks, different trails. If you want to have like the hilly trails, hilly kind of environment, you have that. You want flatlands, you have them. Pretty much consists of every lands that you can imagine. I don't think we are shying off any areas that we don't have in Melbourne. Pretty much we cover a lot. Distance wise, beach roads is great for distance. It's quite safe in terms of in that aspect. And then when you ride in beach road, the vibe is kind of, all the car passed by there, they're already expecting cyclists. So you kind of like feel safe to ride there. Even in a higher speed, it's fine too. Yeah.
That's a good tips. What's your opinion regarding like riding on share path and on the road? Which one do you think is a lot safer?
I don't know. I think to me both are quite safe. On the road, of course, you travel in a higher pace. But on a shared path, of course, you have like family with kids. You're a bit more conscious, but at the same time, you are not riding at a higher pace, so it's kind of like enjoying the moment, the scenery as well. But then on the road, it's kind of you have a little pace, you travel a longer distance, you see things in a different manner. I think it's just two different worlds. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Since the Victorian government enforced the law of 1 meter of distance between cyclists and vehicles, what do you think? Do you think the government actually do a good things to protect the cyclists on the road?
I think to a certain extent, the government can only do so much. At the end of the day, it depends on the driver to what extent you want to take care of cyclists. But I think, to be honest, if you say you're in Chapel Street or you're in those busy street, people are kind of aware of it. But at the end of the day, it's still depending on the driver of that vehicle that need to pay more attention to cyclists. But cyclists very easily get it's very vulnerable in that way. But on the other hand, cyclists also got to play their role too. We have a lot of angry cyclists, put it that way.
That's correct.
There's a lot of angry cyclists. First thing in the morning you're driving, and then these cyclists they're showing you international sign, in those sort of ways. And they are doing their business, you're doing your business. At the end of the day, it's both ways. Yeah. So the government only can help protect up to a certain extent. At the end of the day, it's still the driver who needs to take care of it. One of the good tips I found out from there's one country, the way they open the door. So instead of you open the door with your hand with the door, you use your opposite arm. So you can only open the door in a very small manner, but it also forces you to turn your body to look on your rear side. So I think that is a really good tip. Because no matter how far you go, your door can only open up to a certain extent. But you also push your body to look to the back and check out for cyclists too.
That's actually good.
Yeah, sometimes your rear mirror can only see the far side, but when the cyclist is too close, you can't see it.
The blind spot.
The blind spot. So, but when you open it with the opposite hand, kind of giving you that encouragement.
That's actually a very good point.
Yeah. I think that's really good too. I can't remember which country. It's one of the. I can't remember. Like
I shall go have a look and see it.
Because they are very green oriented, and the government is finding ways to. It's part of their culture already. That's how they look after their cyclists. Road safety. Yeah.
So, in your opinion, what's the difference between cycling and like working out in the gym?
Oh. Of course, cycling is outdoor, right? Working out in the gym is indoor. In general, cycling outdoor, it's something that you enjoy a lot. You attach more to back to the nature, fresh air, obviously, sceneries that I don't know. To me, I never exposed to those sceneries. Not until I exposed to cycling. There's a lot of new places. Not until today, I never explored new place with you today as well. A lot of sceneries. Put it this way: when we go to say either hilly rides or flatlands, there's always new things that is surprising. First thing first is when you train in the morning, sunrise is always beautiful. In that way. So no matter where you go to a new place, sunrise is still beautiful. So you go to different places, you see different kind of sunrise. It's really nice that way. So that is something that I really look forward if I go for morning ride. Our training usually start quite early in the morning. And when you see those sunrise, it's just worth every effort to get up.
That's correct. I totally agree. So the next question will be, I have been seeing you training a lot on Swift at home. So what's the biggest difference like between Swift training and outdoor training?
Zwift training is quite interesting. Brings you into a virtual world. But Zwift did a very good job. They entertain the indoor cycling in the virtual world as well. Zwift, I think one of the biggest advantage from what my coach telling us, Zwift gives you a lot of quality training. Because if you ride on the road, you have to watch out for traffic lights, pedestrians. So if you are putting effort in training, it's kind of, you can't do that. So let's say if you need to put in effort for 8-12 minutes, but within that 8-12 minutes you can't have the quality training on the road. But on Zwift you can. and then you can set up your training program according to what you want to do.
Right.
Intensity, duration, then you can set up your program, then you train on Zwift, and you're 100% quality training on that session. But then on the other hand, if you go to the road, you can't achieve that, but then it gives you the kind of enjoyment on the distance, the view, you know, the area where you're riding is. So it's two different kind of thing, but combination of both will be great for like, to me, because I speak from a training Ironman perspective. That takes off a lot of boxes. Of course, obviously save a lot of time.
Yep.
So for me, let's say if I need to do a hill training in Q, I need to wake up at 4:30 in the morning.
Yep.
And then get myself ready. Training start at say 5:45. But if I do in Zwift, I can wake up, you know, 15 minutes before that session. So I have like 1 hour extra sleep, save my 45 minutes traveling time. So that saves a lot of time. I get my training done at the same thing. Good quality training too. Then I have more rest. I get my quality training done, and then I start my day with more rest. You know, it's not exhausting. So there's the time aspect there as well.
Yep.
Training, you get it done, and then compared to outdoor, of course, training on Zwift for like, you know, for 180k, it's a challenge. You sit there for like 6 hours at the same spot. You got the same spot. You know, you need to have all the nutrition on another chair. You know, you have 5-6 bottles of water there. You have all the food ready. But then, but you go right outdoor, it's a bit different. It's completely different.
So you will actually say that training on Zwift is more intensive, but training outdoor is more things that outside the training you have to concern about.
Yeah. But training outdoor makes your time pass really fast.
Yep.
So you know, you just enjoy your ride, and then by the time you look at it, oh, it's 2.5, 3 hours, 4 hours already. Yeah, but training on Zwift, it takes some time to adapt to it. But you know, COVID is a new time. I start training indoor because there's no choice as well.
That's correct.
So I started this whole thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So a lot of people also mention that training on Zwift is actually a lot easier. And what do you think? Do you think that whatever you achieve from training on Zwift, is that apply the same achievement you can get during outdoor, like the results states?
I do believe so. I mean, if you fully train outdoor, there's always ways to get the training done, right? So you want to train for distance, you want to train for elevation, you can do either way, but you just need to find different spot to do those trainings. Then in Zwift, it's just easy. You know, you can set your own program, or you can just pick the route that you want with those elevation that you want, the distance that you want. You still can get it done both. So it's just a matter of options, I guess. Preference, personal preference. Can be done in both ways.
So a lot of people actually comment that riding on electrical bikes is actually a cheating. What's your opinion?
I think it's fun. I think it's fun. Electrical bikes, if you go for good leisure, for fun, it's always a good way to get out, get some fresh air. You still get the fun of having a bike without the effort. Maybe if I'm older, I probably will get into that too.
Fair enough. Okay, the last question. Any advice you want to give for our audience?
No, just get outdoor, be active, enjoy your exercise.
Sweet.
Yeah, you
Alright.
can't be too healthy.
That's good, that's good. Alright, thank you for all the important tips and valuable opinion. Hopefully you can actually get a bit of good tips there from Ivan, from a different view from a person that train as an Ironman. So thank you for Ivan today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Good one and good ride as well.
Yeah.
I will see you on my next adventure. And before I go, don't forget to subscribe and like my video. And of course, if you think it's informative, don't forget to share on your social media, share to your friend. Alright, see you next time. Bye bye.
Guys.
By the way, for next week.
Wow! Wow! What's this? Oh yo! Let's open and see.